What do you get, folks, when you have not me and but me and my guests, excuse me, both have Victory Monday. We have two football games on right now. We have two Victory Mondays. And for all of you wonderful folks out there, you're in a treat. Why? Because this podcast, when you finally earn money, you get the big name guests. And when you get the money to get the big name guests, you get the Trust Fund benefactor, Jared Silverclight, who is back on for episode number 182. It's a damn good day for both of us, as it is Victory Monday for both of you.
Oh, hell yeah. It is Victory Monday in so many ways, Griff. Not only are New York Football Giants 2-0 for the first time since the last time we made the playoffs, but Garrett Wilson, baby, the other New York team, a walk-off win they're never going to forget, and boy, did I clean up on FanDuel.
Oh, man, I wish I could say the same, but the Ravens and that Cleveland-New York game didn't go my way. The Ravens couldn't cover the spread, and the Ravens couldn't cover the spread, and then the Cleveland and the Jets, they played football. They didn't. It wasn't a boring game like I thought it was going to be.
Cleveland,
I cleaned up on BetMGM. I roared the Lions on Saturday. Hit a nice 4-teamer for college football. That's all I'll say.
Oh, hell yeah. That away. I mean, the Browns is the Browns. Like, can we say that? I mean, that had to be the most Cleveland way for Cleveland to lose a football game that we've seen oh so many times. You can't hold a 2-score lead with 2 minutes to go. You botch the onside kick. Wow.
It's just mind-blowing that there was not just that one. There was three. Like, Miami, it's just hilarious because Miami outscored the Ravens 28-3 in the fourth quarter.
Yes.
The Raiders could not hold a 20-0 halftime lead, and with a minute, it was like a minute 46 left.
These are all
by 14.
At home. These are all multiple score leads at home that were blown in a very short time frame.
And you nearly had, and the best one of the day, which I wish had happened, was the Falcons down 28-3 to the Rams. You would lift all of that hell off of your shoulders if the Falcons made a 28-3 comeback.
Over the defending Super Bowl champions, right? They almost exorcised the demons, but at the last moment, they turned into the Falcons.
I want to open us up. I want to go to you before we talk about my Victory Monday, because for you guys, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the coaching. I don't know if it's just the way the guys are playing. But this Giants team is, and I'm a guy who's criticized Daniel Jones a lot. This Giants team is just night and day different to what we've seen over the last 3 or 4 years.
It really isn't. And it speaks to the frustrations that I had as a fan. And I feel like, people want to point to the obvious things whenever they see a football team losing. It must be all the quarterback's fault. It must be because of skill position player X, Y, or Z. But I could see week in and week out that there was just something fundamentally wrong about how the Giants were preparing for games for the last 4 years, really, and or 4 or 5 years. And finally, what I've been seeing this season, because I don't think that the team has suddenly gone from 0 to hero. Despite being 2-0, I do not consider us, one of the premier teams in the league right now or anything like that. But I can tell that this coaching staff has an idea of what kind of identity they want this team to develop. I feel like Wink Martindale is really giving the defense so much purpose right now, to where we don't have Tibb and Ojulari. They didn't play the first 2 weeks, and it looks like they don't even miss them at all. Like, they're still playing with such intensity, and you can tell, like, this scheme works because this is not the most talented defense in the league by any means. And then offensively, you can really say the same sort of thing where I don't know how I feel about this revolving door of practice squad level wide receivers seemingly that we've got going on. I mean, when David Sills and Richie James are getting the most snaps, I didn't think that's how it was. Our offense was going to function, how they were going to call plays this year. But so far, the small ball approach with Daniel Jones is working while giving Saquon the full vote of confidence. This is really what I think the Giants' winning formula will be this year. This is not a team that's going to overpower anybody, but this is how they can make it work. You make Saquon the centerpiece. Jones, he can't. You're not going to win it because of him, but you can win it with him.
Exactly. Like you're not asking him to be that guy. You're not asking him to go out there and be. I know we have 2 games on right now, but I got Bills Titans. So if you ever see me go quiet or my eyes wander from the screen, folks, it's because I'm watching that game right now. With Jones, it's just, hey, go out there, do the bare minimum, what it's going to take to win, and do that. But I even look at situations where I know everyone with the whole 2-minute, like the 2-minute thing last week, not 2-minute, 2-point conversion against Tennessee. Everyone kind of looks at that and goes, oh, such a great decision. But it's one of those things where it's a different conversation if you guys lose the game because of that. But you know what? It paid off. You guys won 2-0. And might I add, 2-0 on the spread. I'm going to come on and say this right now. Big Rat and I, big proponents of Giants plus 5.5 week 1.
Oh, hell yeah. Eking one out. Yeah, I mean, I think that yeah, you said it best. I mean, how are they going to judge that decision if it doesn't work out? But I thought it was such a vote of confidence in this team from a rookie head coach, first game on the road, with a chance to win it at the end of regulation. I mean, and the fact that he ran it by the defense. He was like, "Hey guys, if we score here, I'm going for 2. All right, we good?" I mean, it just shows such faith in your players. And you see, I mean, the celebrations in the locker rooms after these games, like this team, I have not seen this energy in a very, very long time. And they seem together. They really seem together. And it's why this year I was optimistic, not for a great season, but for, I think, a decent season that you can build on. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be games where they simply don't have the firepower to keep up with some other offenses in the league. But I think that we can pull out more wins like this, maybe make a run to the playoff spot. And overall, I think that this franchise is finally in good hands.
Yeah, like I still am going to say I don't want to say playoffs immediately just because I want to see Jones against, like a true team. Like I think this week is 2 tests for 2 big people who come on the podcast. Yourself, your team, and Big Rat's team. Obviously, Miami got the big win yesterday, but I want to see them play Buffalo this Sunday. I want to see you guys against Dallas. I know Dallas, without Dak, they still look really good against Cincinnati, which we'll get to in a little bit. But it's just that divisional factor, You want to see how do they stack up with the division. You want to see these teams, how are they against the true quote-unquote good, and I only say good for Dallas because they won the division last year. I want to see you guys play the Eagles, before you make any assumptions because it is week 2. But I do agree with you that, going down the road, yeah, all the Bryce Young jokes go out of hand unless Daniel Jones shits down his leg and you guys go 2-15. But I just don't see that at this point. I can still see like a maybe 7-10 or 8-9 being that conversation everyone wants to be in. Thanksgiving, Christmas time, you're in the playoff hunt. That's what every NFL fan should strive for. I know that's a low bar to set, but it's a bar that, if you're in that conversation, you have exciting football. It's like September baseball. I know you're a Yankee fan, so you're a little spoiled. But baseball, is there something better when your team is competitive in September, when your football team's competitive at Christmas time? There's just an aura to it. There's just something to it,
Oh, it sure is. I mean, whenever the Giants would make the playoffs or go on those Super Bowl runs, I mean, as they were clinching that playoff spot right around the holidays, it's just like it just aligns so well with that time of year. I mean, there's nothing better when you're like, you're doing Christmas with the family, and then it's like NFL Sunday, and your team just like punched their ticket to the postseason. I mean, it really just makes the end of the year that much better. I haven't gotten that feeling with this team in a really long time. So yeah, I mean, I definitely think that we can be in the hunt. I mean, it's definitely too early to guarantee anything. And I do think that these are like kind of, I'm not like jumping over the moon for these wins. It's just kind of one of those, oh, okay, like we edged a couple tight ones out. That's pretty encouraging. Let's see how we do against better competition.
Well, even those things like right here, I'm looking ahead next week. You guys are -2.5 on the spread right now to open up against Dallas with something big. But even I think next Monday is just big because it is prime time. It is that Monday Night Football spot, that spot that like everyone wants to be in. And I know everyone goes for Sunday Night Football, but I think Monday Night Football still has that it has that swagger to it. And then I think we lost him for a minute, folks. So I'm just going to vamp here. But then I'm looking at the Giants' schedule after the Cowboys: Bears, Packers, Ravens, Jags, Seahawks. If they can escape that, potentially 4-1, the conversation could then shift from how good are they to this team is right in that thick of that playoff conversation. So
Oh
we'll
yeah.
see what happens, but I want to see like basically like the game in London, Dallas, and the Ravens. I think those are going to be like the true tests to determine how good the Giants really are.
I would I would definitely agree with that. I think that yeah, the schedule is favorable for now for this first month. But once we get that little run there against Green Bay and Baltimore, those games are going to be really really hard. And then yeah, I mean the Jaguars have been playing a little bit above expectations, right? The Lions have some offensive firepower. That might be a team where right now they may have a worse record than us, but I don't know if that's a team that we may not match up with all that well just because they throw it more aggressively downfield. I think they've had the benefit of playing two more conservative offenses to open it up. But yeah, exciting times. Optimism abound. Who would have thought?
We also know too that the Carolina Panthers are just not a good football team. That's the other big factor in for that for you guys. I'm gonna go on my own little Victory Monday rant because guess what? The Patriots got the win yesterday. It was ugly, 17-14. But I hate everyone basically going like, "Oh, like the Patriot way of old is gone and everything." And I'm like, "Yeah, no shit." But you know what? In the NFL, like the Giants yesterday, if you want to win in this league, you got to win ugly sometimes. Not every win's gonna be pretty and a nice little cupcake with a cherry on top. No, you got to get down in the dirt and mud sometimes and fight for those wins. As Jalen Hurts throws a bomb to who is that? Number 16. Who is okay? Yeah, I'm really glad I changed my spread pick to the Eagles over the Vikings. Oof, my own. But yeah, so that's what I'm going to say about the Pats quickly. Is just look, you're going to get ugly wins. I called it yesterday. I said that game was going to be an ugly game, one of the trenches. What was it? It was an ugly game, one of the trenches. New England, though, masters of killing clock, killing that 6-minute drive. That was unbelievable way to end the game. And we also learned yesterday too that you know what, just because you put lipstick on a pig doesn't mean that the pig's magically going to turn from anything else to anything else. Which I'm referring to is Mitch Trubisky, which I don't think he's the guy in Pittsburgh. So that's my little vamp on the Patriots. Got the win. Not happy to play Baltimore next week coming off that horrible loss to Miami. But you know what? I'm going to soak in this Victory Monday because I'm like Oprah right now handing out W's. Jared gets a W. Griffin gets a W. We all get W's here on YWC Football Talk, episode 182.
That's it. That's it. And I mean, you definitely summed it up talking about the Patriots winning ugly because I think it's kind of funny. Here we are, 2022. It's like, you and I and like everybody else, growing up, we were kids, we're in high school. Like Patriots versus Steelers is one big ass football game. That is a featured game. And now here it is happening week 2 in 2022. And these teams are, they're entering the next phase. They're in transition. They've got young, inexperienced quarterbacks at the helm. And they both still very well coached, very well prepared, very talented defensively. The Steelers more so than the Patriots. In terms of name guys, but just kind of a game that you knew going in was like, man, this is probably going to be one of the more unexciting games of the week if you're looking for offensive fireworks. But yeah, just one in the trenches, grind it out.
As Josh Allen just throws a fucking bomb to Stephon Diggs. Jesus Christ. Yeah, this team's good. This team's good. But you know what I also said yesterday was going to be which quarterback doesn't fuck up the worst. And which quarterback fucked up the worst? It was Trubisky. Mac had the one interception on Minka Fitzpatrick, but you know what? Sometimes you're gonna throw those to one of the best safeties in the league. Meanwhile, Trubisky, a lot of checkdowns. There was a lot of Matt Canada, but we'll see what happens. Also, Jared, like I said to you earlier, I still have trust issues with Stephon Diggs, and it's painful right now. Get the ball to fucking Dawson Knox. Come on. Oh, and we're going to vamp again for a second, folks. Like I said with the Patriots, it's not going to be pretty this year.
What happened?
Oh, sorry, you kind of disappeared for a second.
You didn't lose me, did you?
Oh, I did lose you for a sec. I was just talking because Josh Allen just threw an absolute dime downfield laser to Stephon Diggs.
Yes.
I still have trust issues because if for the folks out there that don't know, I told Jared this earlier. Wild card game. I took Diggs to get a touchdown against the Patriots. I also took Damian Harris to get a touchdown against the Bills. What happened? Every Bill but Diggs got a touchdown that night. So that's why I have trust issues. But yeah, so that's me and my trust issues as I go back to Minnesota Philly, where I'm still waiting for my wagers to cash. All I need, folks, is a Dawson Knox touchdown. Josh Allen's good for fantasy, but Josh, please get Dawson the ball. I'm 1 for 2 right now.
I got a few requests here. I need Derrick Henry to get 55 rushing yards. And most importantly, I need Treylon Burks to get 23 yards and a touchdown.
All we ask is
big money coming to the trust fund.
We just need, I literally just want, what was it called? Just get me, DraftKings, come on, do me some favors. I love how I click on the game and it tells me to like, hey, where to go for this. And also, if you want to bet on the Bills right now, they're minus 5,000 to win the game. And I think we're also learning quickly, too, a take. So I don't know if I ever told you this, but last season, my big take was what was the team's name? The Seahawks were going to be bad and miss the playoffs. That happened. This year, my take is like that, but with the Tennessee Titans. And so far, it's coming true. And then I need folks here. I need Dallas Goedert and Justin Jefferson. I have 2 separate touchdown parlays going tonight, and we will have more for Thursday. But this Thursday's game, we'll talk about in a little bit. The one question I have for you, Jared, so I'm going to rank these 3 AFC teams quickly. I want you to show me your level of concern, 1 being the worst, 3 being the least concerned. Bengals, okay. Broncos, Colts.
Bengals, Broncos, Colts. Who am I most concerned versus least concerned?
Yes.
Okay. I am most concerned about the Colts. I am then second most concerned about the Bengals, and I am third most concerned about the Broncos. Now, why am I least concerned about the Broncos? Because the Broncos, I feel like, all right, they are getting a little used to Russell Wilson. There's still some growing pains. Clearly, he's not dominating in the same way that he was in Seattle. This is the first new team of his career, and it's not gelling right out of the gate. However, the running game is still effective. Both weeks it was effective. They just got week 1 embarrassing turnovers at the goal line, which like just can't happen. And the odds of that ever happening again are slim to none. And they lost by 1 point. And the defense is still the same unit. The Broncos have always been one of those teams with, you get these teams in the league where the players may come and go, but the defense, the core identity of the defense remains the same. The Broncos and the Ravens have always been 2 of those teams.
Yeah, I agree with you on both of those. I always said Denver was going to struggle out of the gate, but I didn't think it would be only lose to Seattle by 1 and then Houston you have a tough time with. I still think Houston's going to be a frisky team, but I mean frisky in the sense of they're going to be a surprise team for a lot of people. They're not going to win a lot of games, but they're not going to be like awful. They're not going to be bad. There's a team that I think will be bad we'll get to in a second, but we'll wait for that. But with the Broncos, I think they'll figure it out, but I said this in the AFC preview show. If you're going for someone to still win that division, it's Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes is still Patrick Mahomes. I think anyone saying the whole Tyreek Hill, how's he going to be Tyreek Hill? We got to remember, guys, Patrick Mahomes is still Patrick Mahomes at the end of the day. And then the Chargers, I still think, are the better team. Now, with me and the Bengals, I just think that they were a team that had way too much pressure on them this year because of their overhyped expectations because of last year. But we all know in the NFL, every year we get this. Oh, yeah, we'll just go back to the Super Bowl next year. Guess what? It's not that easy. Some people might think it is, but it's not. Getting back to the Super Bowl isn't just you snap your fingers and you go. Obviously, for the Patriots, it was a little different in all those years. But then we look at Kansas City, too. It's kind of the same thing. But for a lot of these teams, the same thing always happens. We think that they're going to get back there. We think that we're going to snap our fingers and we're going to see them back there again, but it's not so true. So it's kind of the same thing with Cincinnati. And then with Indy, I think outside of Michael Pittman Jr. and Jonathan Taylor, they've got nothing. I think that's what it is. I also think too. I think Matt Ryan's like already on the back nine of his career. I think it's one of those things where it's like the end is sooner than nearer. And also, too, I heard this today on a podcast. I want to ask your thoughts on this. Do we think that Andrew Luck basically bought job security for Frank Reich and Chris Ballard for all that time because they can always go, oh, we're still trying to fix our quarterback problem, when all along, though, it's no, Andrew Luck retired 3 years ago. You guys haven't figured it out and have had a carousel at quarterback. I think those guys, there's a very good chance those guys get fired if the Colts do not make the playoffs this year, or if they're a 8-9 or 9-8 team, but they still win the division, because I just think that's the worst division in football still.
Oh yeah, no, I think you're 100% right. Although I actually, it's funny. Well, yeah, I think that I was going to argue that that being the worst division, but I was going to say the NFC South. But the more I think about it, I think despite how the Saints and the Bucks getting banged up early, I think the AFC South is clearly the worst. I mean, good Lord, the best team right now looks like the Jaguars. What's going on?
Yeah. Tennessee's probably going to be 0-2 after tonight. Tennessee's going to be 0-2. I think the Bills have the ball back already. Tennessee's going to be 0-2. The Colts are 0-1-1. The Texans are 0-1-1. And the Jags are 1-1. That's not good football. Now, it's not a diss on Tennessee or not Jacksonville or anything, but it's just showing you, hey, these two other teams that were supposed to be good, or who we thought were going to be good, a.k.a. Tennessee and Indy, aren't as good as we thought.
No, the Indy is the biggest disappointment in the NFL this year. And the reason I say more so than Cincy is because I still have faith in Cincy to get it right. The Colts look completely helpless. And here's the whole thing with them. Last year, the Colts had a good team, a very underrated team. They were probably the best non-playoff team in the league. The one thing holding them back, the one reason they didn't go to the playoffs, is because Carson Wentz sucks. The fact that Carson Wentz couldn't get it together to help his team beat the Jaguars, who were playing for nothing, who for all intents and purposes should have lost, right?
Yep.
Got the first overall pick, and they can't beat them to get the last playoff spot. And so, they try to do what every team tries to do, which is get that quarterback, the missing link. The Broncos felt like they were a quarterback in the way. They got Russell Wilson. The Colts get Matt Ryan. And I think that here it was just too late with him. He is not one of those veterans that's been able to have the same level of longevity as others, maybe. I mean, I've always been a fan of Matt Ryan. I think that he is he's had a very good career, but like you mentioned, back nine wasn't the guy to get. Honestly, the guy for them to get, and I don't think that they would be 0-2, Jimmy Garoppolo.
Who I'm going to say right now, San Francisco. I feel bad for Trey Lance, but I always said with San Francisco, I was just like, I knew there was something in keeping Jimmy. I knew there was a reason for the keeping. I'm not saying Trey Lance was going to get hurt or anything. I was just saying, look, you always have to read between the lines on those things. With the Colts, though, it's just one of those disappointing things, because it's like, look, we expected you to win. Hell, I had them labeled as a Super Bowl dark horse. I thought it was going to be, Matt Ryan Renaissance. Not saying it was going to be like Matt Stafford or anything, but it's like, you know what? He has a chance to go and show himself as this, hey, I'm back to being what I once was. Now, meanwhile, you have him where it's like, okay, is this guy really as good as we say he is, or is he just overhyped? Now with his weapons, that's his biggest thing. They don't have the weapons. They do have Pittman and Taylor, but besides that, their tight end room is nothing special, and the receiver depth, we saw it yesterday. It was bad. And the more embarrassing thing than losing was the fact they put up a goose egg against Jacksonville. I think that is something that goes unnoticed. Not unnoticed, but it's a thing that should be put more into the spotlight, is the fact that they scored nothing. They put up a 0. And now you got Kansas City coming to town next week, Indy, so good luck with that. In your home opener, nonetheless. So, yeah, that's the big thing right there. KC and Indy this Sunday. So for Indianapolis fans, you think it's going to get easier? No. You got Patrick Mahomes coming to town.
No. I don't know if you heard what I just said, but it doesn't get more embarrassing in this league than getting shut out by anybody, much less a team that most people think is not going to be very good this year. So it really does not get, this has to be rock bottom for Indy. You better be happy that you had this happen early. Maybe it's going to be a bit of a wake-up call. They're definitely not out of it in the division if they get it together, but things don't look so good.
No, they don't. They do not. No, and you cut out there, by the way, so I didn't know what you were saying. But Yeah. So if you're the Colts, you got to get it figured together. One team as well. I'm not saying they're bad, but I'm here to say I don't think they're as good as we thought they were. That's Las Vegas. I just don't. I think basically we're learning all along what a lot of people said, and I agreed with, and that's Derek Carr is not the guy. He's still a good quarterback, and he has potential to be a good quarterback in this league. But I just look at him and I'm like, he's not that guy. He's not, how Josh Allen is the guy in Buffalo right now. You know how Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, etc. We know they're the guys. I just don't think Derek Carr is ever
Yep.
going to ascend to that level of player and quarterback.
I would, I would agree. I mean, I think that you've seen him peak already. I mean, yes, Devontae Adams had a claim to stake as the best wide receiver in the
12
league.
fucking yards.
12 yards,
12 yards.
exactly. Yeah, and where I was going with that was before he even got there. I think that this Oakland team has not been lacking weapons the last several years. So it's not like, obviously Devontae makes the team better, but if Derek Carr was really at that level of quarterback here in the NFL, he could have gotten more out of the group that he had before Devontae. And now you have him. You're at home against a playoff team from last year, and you get an early touchdown, and you completely go away from him for the rest of the game? Why is he there? Why is he there if you're not going to throw to him?
Yeah, it's not like, hey, we just brought him in, and it's like he's one of those guys where it's like he's later in his career, we're giving him a chance. No, he's still performing at an elite level. He's still one of the top. Right now, if I had to rank the top 3 receivers in the NFL, I go Kupp, I go Jefferson, and I go Adams. Those are your top 3 receivers right there.
It would have to be 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
this is a guy in his.
I was also going to say, I just think they were scared to win that game. I think they were just like, oh, hey, we're going to do this. And also, the more embarrassing thing is how you let Kyler Murray get that 2-point conversion. Do you guys not know how to tackle? For everyone saying how impressive it is, learn to hit someone if you're the Raiders defense. Jesus Christ. Mm-hmm. And that's former Giants defensive coordinator Patrick Graham, too. I think we have some dead air right now, folks. Jared, are you still there?
Oh, I think so.
Yeah, if you're using it on the app, just make sure you keep the browser open while you're recording, just so you don't cut in and out. Yep. But yeah, that's the thing I was saying too, is just the defense yesterday on the Kyler Murray play, like the 2-point conversion. Yeah. You don't. That's inexcusable defense.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, it's just one of those things where bringing a coach, but the culture doesn't really seem to change. I mean, the Raiders have it's been. Defense really it is so scheme driven, and we can take the most talented players in the league, draw them up on paper and plop them on a team. And the Raiders have always been a team that they've always had some talent here and there on defense, but they've just never been able to find consistency, be a lockdown unit. And yeah, I mean, we're seeing just continuation of that here. And I mean, and then the same kind of applies to bringing Devontae Adams into their offense, where is he going to score some points for them and get his touchdowns this year? Of course he is, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to lead to more wins for the team. Sometimes you can add in an area, add a really talented player, and it really doesn't do much of anything. And I mean, I think that could be the case here, where they're just still going to be that 9-8, 8-9 fringe playoff team.
Exactly, they're going to be that team because, I've said this all offseason. One team that's in the AFC West is going to disappoint people because not every team in that division is going to win 10-plus games. There's always one team that's doomed for lower expectations or not doing as good as we once thought they were going to be.
Yep, and it's funny. I think that, I really think that coming into this season, my current and I'll come to you, come back to you on this right after my preseason AFC West rankings. I still feel, after 2 weeks, I still feel exactly the same in the way that I would order these teams, which is KC first, despite the loss of Tyreek. It's still the Mahomes show over there. They are able to recreate his production, in a different way that they have to with the new pieces they have. And Travis Kelce's still there. They're still able of basically performing at the same level that they had the last couple of years. I would go number 2. Chargers, where Chargers, you can definitely see the talent on the field in this team. You can see that this is, possibly a top 5 roster in the NFL. They absolutely have on both sides of the ball, There's superstars everywhere. But at the same time, we saw last week against Kansas City that they are still making those same critical mistakes, costing them games that they should be winning. Because anybody who watched that game and you didn't tell them the final score, they would think the Chargers won because they absolutely outplayed Kansas City, except for the key moments, and they let one slip away. And then I would go Broncos, where Broncos, it's like I'm still seeing the defensive consistency, but I'm not seeing the offensive explosion to put them over the other two. And then number 4, Raiders. Looks like the same old Raiders to me.
I literally have the exact same rankings as you, and that's what mine was. I always said Kansas City. Hell, Kansas City's my pick to go to the Super Bowl because I feel like with all the, and I know it sounds going to sound kind of salty coming from a Pats fan, but for all the Bills hype, and we're giving hype to a team that hasn't necessarily, done anything. No, I'm going to go with the team that's been to the AFC Championship the last 4 years and has a championship under their resume already. Second, I'm going to go. I still go Chargers because I still think they're that same thing. They're still a work in progress, but I think they're making the right strides to getting better. They just have to win those games. They have to split against Kansas City this year. Third, I had Denver because, like I said, I think they'll figure it out. They'll be in that playoff window, but we'll see. I think, if anything, Denver's going to be their own worst enemy. They're not going to be. They're going to make the mistakes, if anything, to cost themselves football games. And then the Raiders, it's the same old thing. It's that. Hey, they're the Dennis
same
Green
old Raiders.
team.
Same
It's the Dennis
old Raiders.
It's Dennis Green. They are who we thought they were. And we let them off the hook. That's the Raiders to me. Raiders fans can argue, but for all of them, we're trying to make the cases of, Derek. I've seen some of them trying to go Derek Carr's a top 10 quarterback and stuff. Like, get out of here with that nonsense.
Then give me the other 9. Give me the other 9, or name the 20 behind him that you're going to put him ahead of, and then we can have a real conversation. And you can't honestly do that. Nobody could honestly have that opinion. It's like me saying Daniel Jones is a top 10 quarterback.
Yeah, it's like me going Max a top 10 quarterback. Because I'm not going to rank them, but if I'm thinking of guys at least top 5 for right now, you go Allen, Mahomes, Herbert. I'll still put Burrow in there, even though he's been off to a bit of a cold start. I think he's still a top quarterback in the league. You have Brady, you have Rodgers, you have Dak, you have Kyler.
Oh wow, that is a hard top 10. It's a really hard top 5, I would say. But I think that so far Brady, you cannot put Brady in the top 5 right now.
No, I'm not saying
Definitely not.
No, like top 5 is basically the guys who I said. You can just rank them how you want. We're gonna go Allen, Mahomes, Herbert,
right, and then
Burrow.
you're talking second tier. Yeah, you're talking second tier after that, like the 6 to 10 range.
Yeah, Brady goes in the 6 to 10 range, but like right now, like I said, I think 1, 2 is Mahomes and Allen, and then the one that's there is 5. Like, do you go Aaron Rodgers? Do you go Lamar? Is there someone else in mind you could go with? Like, it's up to everyone's thing. But then I
think that right now,
it's tough.
Yeah. It is. It's definitely, it really is. I mean, I don't know if I would put. See, Aaron Rodgers is kind of a tough one for me. I don't know. He could be. He may not. He's not necessarily like through. We're just talking the first 2 games of the season. I don't think he hasn't looked top 5. I mean, this offense. It's clear that like they are missing Devontae Adams to a degree. I mean, because a lot of the guys that they have are just kind of here, and they've always been like here and there targets, or they're very, very new. And these weren't really like heralded draft picks. These are kind of like, depth pieces, works in progress that maybe over time could build into something. But right now, it's definitely not the same Green Bay air show. And you can tell against the Bears, they were very content to let the running backs lead the charge while Rodgers kind of schools these kids up. So maybe it's going to come later this season, but I think right now, Green Bay is a good team, a still well-coached team, a still well-prepared team, but not a fear-inducing team. I wouldn't say that they're fear-inducing right now.
Yeah, like they'll make the playoffs, but they're not a team you look at being like they're going to be in the Super Bowl. By the way, we also learned last night that the Bears do suck.
The Bears truly do suck. The Bears are who we thought they were.
Yeah, I think they
The
just had
Bears
their
are
like 1 week.
are
They had their 1
indeed.
week in the sun. That's it.
Yeah, they had their 1 week in the sun against I think a very overrated 49ers team coming into the season. I know Trey Lance got hurt. Didn't see that coming.
Yeah, I think his Wi-Fi or his connection is acting up, folks. But yeah, I'm in the same boat with the 49ers where, like I said earlier, I wish Trey Lance nothing but the best. He just had surgery. He had successful surgery today. Just with him, I just didn't buy into the Trey Lance-led 49ers team going anywhere. So I think the Bears, they had their moment in the sun. Will they get another? They'll probably still get some more wins, but you can't look at me with a straight face and a pick for Buffalo. Buffalo
Pick for
gets the
Buffalo.
interception.
Oh man,
Yeah,
what's going on, man?
yeah. This, as I just saw a kid in blue. I don't think he had a jersey, so he just basically painted his entire stomach blue. Which good for you. But man, this is another team, Tennessee. Like, fuck, man. I think Tannehill's in that Matt Ryan category of quarterback as well, where I think Tannehill had that one good year in 2019, and then all of a sudden he was down. I don't know if you were ever part of those arguments, but I know we all know like the Big Rat and Bobby stuff when it came to Ryan Tannehill.
Well, I think Ryan Tannehill definitely is like, he definitely played very well that season. I mean, I do think in the seasons that have followed, he's kind of shown that, he's a quarterback that's never really had greatness in his genes. I think that it's kind of a guy who, again, he's one of those guys who, if he plays mistake-free, is surrounded by the right pieces, you can win with him, but you're not going to win because of him. And I will say this. My dad is a diehard Dolphins fan as well. So Ryan Tannehill followed his career the whole time he was with Miami. Most sacked quarterback in the league by far. And the fact that he's still forget playing football. Like the fact that he's not like in a wheelchair or something is pretty damn impressive considering all the abuse that offensive line made him endure for, however many years in a row. So he ate a lot of shit to get where he is. And even if he's not a great quarterback or anything, I got a lot of respect for him because I would have wanted to throw in the fucking towel.
They were very, very close to making the Super Bowl a few years ago, if you don't remember.
They sure were.
Yeah. They sure were. I'm going to ask you this right now. I'm in the mood to play a game. Are you in the mood to play along?
Sure. Why not?
I want to call this good, bad, or wait and see. I'm going to give you a team, and I want you to let me know, do you think they're good? Do you think they're bad? Or are you still waiting to see what they truly are? The first one I'm going to go with is the Cleveland Browns.
Cleveland? I'd say I gotta say bad. I gotta say bad because this team is supposed to be in the absence of Deshaun Watson. They are a team where the defense has to set the example. They still have talented skill position players on offense and a superstar running back that the offense can run through, but the defense has to set the tone with this downgrade in quarterback for the time being, for like half the season. And they have looked pretty poor